wondering how training went. Did the starters from Saturday train today? And just maybe a word on Robbie and Ronan, if you think they're on course to be involved on Saturday.
Some of the boys obviously didn't train, but Ronan took part in the training session. Robbie's going through his bits as well. So it's pretty low key really Monday.
Just on Robbie and Ronan, do you think they're more likely than not to feature on Saturday or be available?
Yeah, I'll just wait for the medics to do their business and then take it from there really.
Very good. Congratulations on the win at the weekend, and obviously it was going to be a huge battle. It was kind of built up as a match that may have been tighter. Is there any sense within Leinster that you would have maybe preferred to have been a bit more stressed, because just looking at it, you were quite relatively comfortable for the match? You know, in terms of getting a severe test at this stage of the season, would you have hoped for something a bit more show from Toulouse?
I think the scoreline, flattered us, to be honest with you. I think it was a tough enough game. A couple of things went our way, which made it, a little bit easier, but it was tough out there. I think we benefited from a fast start. The ball in play, the first half, the heat as well. Obviously, took sapped quite a bit of energy, from both teams really. But it was a tough enough match. Don't take anything away from Toulouse. They came. They were well prepared. You could see how dangerous they were when the game broke up. Getting offloads away and etc. So it was a tough enough game for us, to be honest with you. And it came on the back of a few of those players having 2 weeks off. So the ones who hadn't travelled to South Africa, you know what I mean? So it's always a tough one to get that balance right. Just really tough for the win.
Very good. And just tell me a little bit about Charlie, who came in for Robbie. What does he add to the Leinster team? Because he kind of slipped in seamlessly after so long out. Talk to me about Charlie.
Yeah, he's a quality player, quality man. Very diligent with regards to being able to step in. I know he's been working very hard on his rehab. He's been in the gym, a bit longer than what he would have liked, I know, but listen, he's got good skills and he's got good skill set. He's very strong, he's a very powerful runner, understands the game, So he brought that with him on Saturday, and as you say, he was just seamless really the way he fitted in. His experience as well. He's just a good guy to have around.
Leinster were so close to winning the Champions Cup last season. Did very little wrong. I presume on the review, it's only one play at the end of a game that is the difference between being champions and not champions. Have you looked at anything that you can do differently in the build-up off the field in terms of preparation? And as I said, Leinster did very little wrong last season. So, but is there anything you've identified, something else to change in the build-up to the final?
Yeah, we've discussed it briefly. We're back with our URC hats on for this week. So it was a case of, getting over the line against Toulouse, and then, in the distance, there's 3 weeks or 2 weeks to go before we actually get to that match and that build-up. But there's one thing that has been good for us in holding us firm. Really, it's just one game at a time, and a lot of things can change in the space of a week or a day even sometimes. So hopefully we'll get a result on Saturday, and then you're looking at big matches week upon week. So you're looking at the balance of keeping guys fresh, not overplaying them, who deserves an opportunity. With regards to managing the squad that way, there are certain things that obviously still hurt from last year. I'm talking about the end of the season in particular, following following the loss to La Rochelle back in the URC, we gorged ourselves on the win against Glasgow, and we really got caught against the Bulls. And there are similarities with regards to that, where the Sharks now they've had a couple of weeks just preparing for this game. I think they're going to be arriving earlier on in the week. Wednesday, I think they're arriving. The Bulls, they stayed here for the whole week after playing up in Belfast last year. When we reflect on that, when we reflected on it, some of the lessons that we can learn from, selection, do we get it right? Should we have changed more? Not, you look at the build-up. We just, we got to learn those lessons. Do you know what I mean? That's one thing that we can't be caught on. I mean, emotionally, it's going to be tough to try and get us back up, but we've got to get back up there. As simple as that. There's no excuses. So we won't be caught out again. I think it'll be a tough challenge on Saturday again, and it's going from the Champions Cup to URC, but the level of the opposition, it's going to be an equally as tough game. And when you look at our match against them at the start of the year, it was a close enough affair, and do you know what I mean? It was a very physical game, so we're not expecting anything less again on Saturday.
Smashing. Thanks, Robin. Best of luck.
Cheers, thank you.
Robin, it's Don here.
How the vocal cords, Don?
Listen, first time tackles played a big part in beating, in winning at the weekend. I mean, Leinster made 169 tackles, a lot more than Toulouse had to do. Is that something you need to do against these bigger teams?
Definitely. First time tackles are key, doesn't matter what defensive system you've got, if you can't make your tackles, then it's not going to work. And we saw the threat, the potency of their attack. Once they get a sniff, a half break, their offloading game comes to the fore, and they ask questions of us, didn't they, without doubt, on the weekend. So we just need to limit those type of teams who've got good offloading games. First time tackles are key.
How would you compare now, La Rochelle with Toulouse, or indeed with the Sharks? They're all pretty big teams.
Yeah, they are. We're at the stage of the season now where you're coming up against the best teams, aren't you? And you wouldn't get this far really if there was a weakness in your team. So, listen, they're big men, and just going back to that last game that we played against at the start of the year, against the Sharks, it was a tough encounter, and they'll be well prepared. They've obviously got Noel McNamara in their ranks as a coach, so he'll have inside knowledge, and it'll make our work even harder on the weekend. So, it was great to get that win. As I say, a lot of the players that had a couple of weeks off, who didn't travel to South Africa, so to get across the line and just get that balance right, isn't it, with regards to being battle hardened or battle weary. So we'll take the learnings from last week against Toulouse, and do you know what I mean? Anything that we think we need to shore up, we'll do so this week. Make sure that we're ready for the Sharks.
The cards are playing a big part in winning and losing now. Is that something you can emphasise during training? Or?
Yeah, well, obviously having discipline is paramount, really, and then to have to deal with yellow cards, on match day, you need to prepare for that as well. So who's covering what, who steps into which position, etc. So yeah, it's just something added extra to your workload during the week and your preparations. But the players they're well versed in that anyway. So the nature of the game with regards to the tackle height, the laws, a lot of things can happen that would have gone unpenalised in the past. But and for the right reasons, we've got to put health and safety first. So accidents do happen as well on the field, so you've just got to prepare as well as you can for them.
Thanks, Robin.
Thank you.
Hi Robin, how are things? Joe Coker here from Virgin Media. How are you?
Hi Joe, yeah, good.
Something that has struck me the whole way through the season, every player that I've spoken to has talked about how, when asked, has talked about how the hurt losing last year's final is providing a lot of motivation this year, driving them to get back to the final. The fact that you're playing the same opposition in La Rochelle this year, do you think that's even more enticing, that the players will relish it even more to put things right from last year against the same team?
Yeah, maybe so. I think each player's different, I suppose, in the way they approach it. But it gives an opportunity, doesn't it? But you've got to make the most of that opportunity when it comes. Then, obviously. So, but they're a good team, and you could see on the weekend yesterday against Exeter. They're a very strong team. So, even though we know them, we'd like to think that we know what's coming. We've still got to stop them. So, it's going to be. Listen, it's going to be tough, isn't it? But we're taking one match at a time. We can't get too far ahead of ourselves and just focus on that game. We've got hopefully 2 games to go, big games to go. Starting with the Sharks on Saturday, and our focus is 100% on them.
Yeah, and you spoke there about the difference between, or the balance between being battle hardened and battle weary. The fact that you have 2 big tests and physical tests against teams that will provide a really good physical challenge for you. Is that the perfect preparation leading into the final?
Yeah, I think so, isn't it? It's important that you get the right feedback from the game with regards to how, where you stand, where how strong you actually are, or some area that you think is ticked off is not quite ticked off, and you're aware of a weakness, etc. And that's what it's all about. When you come to the business end, it's coming up against the best teams, and it's exciting to be involved at this time of the year. Do you know what I mean? So just great.